For everything. Please, note this.
This is to make clear that we are not here with a neutral analysis, but with a political statement. I may translate, down with the rule of the Supreme Guide, the revolution continues.
Now we can begin.
So, after the introduction, let me start with thanks to the center, to the festival, as well as to our friend Tur, who was also a guest of the Secret Capital and established contact with these great festivals. Also for Sindre, old friend of mine as well, and I'm very honored that he will be commenting on us. I will very shortly talk about us in English, and then we will start with the actual presentation, which will be bilingual. So, although we are here as filmmakers, actually we are writers. I'm an anthropologist and I write academic studies. Mukhtar is a novelist and poet and has written 2 novels and a lot of good poetry. And so what we try to present here is somewhere between a literary essay and an academic one. And this is a very important occasion for us because we've been working together since a few years, but this is the first occasion where we actually present our work together in a lecture. It is a lecture, as I said, of a writer with scientific ambitions and a researcher with literary ambitions, and maybe this is what brought us together. We couldn't remember when we started actually developing thoughts together or working together. Probably it was on one of our walks in the fields in the village or on the seafront in Alexandria. But it definitely started 2009 when we did together a film after we realized that we were both interested in issues of class society and migration. A very short experimental film called The Other Side. And it really became a continuing project with the revolution when I came to Mukhtar's village some months after the revolution and actually joined the local group of activists to help them in their actions, mostly by editing video footage which Mukhtar had already been filming by then of their actions. And he said, you know what, I think this could be worth of a film. And I said, I think so too. And from there became a film, and at the same time we also started doing a research about writers, what makes people write, and what consequences does literature as a practice have. One of the consequences of literature as practice in Egypt is that a lot of writers, if not of most of them, have developed a very strong oppositional consciousness, and at least in the village, to be a writer is usually also to be a revolutionary. And now I have the honor to give the word to Mukhtar.
In the beginning, I know about my bad English, and I thinking you will be as a traitor because you are an Arabic teacher. So if you speak with English, you will be a traitor. So I will speak with my academic Arabic, and Samuli will make translation. العواصم السرية. من لم يتعلم لهجة القرى ما تعلم لهجة البنادر، ومن لم يعرف الهامش لن يتمكن من فهم المتن، ومن لم يذق خبز القرى ما تذوق خبز المدينة ولا تلذذ بطعمه.
So it begins with the secret capitals in the plural. Who doesn't know the dialect of the villages doesn't quite understand the dialect of the cities. Who hasn't tasted the bread of the villagers doesn't know the meaning of tasting the white bread of the cities.
في الحقيقة لا نعرف من أطلق التسمية على قريتنا بالعاصمة السرية، لكنها مثل أساطيرها نحبها، نؤمن بها، ونستلهم منها أيضا، ويغيب ذكر صاحبها الحقيقي، ربما عاش ومات ولم يسمع به أحد، أو ربما هاجر إلى المدينة في يوم ما واختفى للأبد.
Indeed, we do not actually know who first called our village the secret capital. But like with all our myths, we love this title, we believe in it, and we take inspiration from it, while the memory of its inventor has been lost. He lived, he might have died, or he might have moved to the city and we have lost a trace of his steps.
تلك قرية منية المرشد، الواقعة في أقصى شمال الدلتا ما بين فرع رشيد من نهر النيل والجنوب الغربي لبحيرة البروليس. معظم سكانها من الصيادين، قليل من الفلاحين، ونسبة عالية جدا تحولت إلى الوظيفة الحكومية والمؤسسية، بما يعكس تواصلها الدائم بالعالم رغم البعد الجغرافي ورغم الفقر الشديد، إلا أن طبيعة الصياد فيها استطاعت أن تحميه من نفوذ الإقطاع ورفض فكرة الهيمنة الاقتصادية المؤسسية أو الحكومية، وهو ما تأصل في الجيل الجديد الذي أنتمي إليه من أبناء الصيادين.
This is the village of Minat al-Murshid, which is located in the far north of the Nile Delta, between the Burulus Lake and the Rashid branch of the Nile. Most of its inhabitants are originally fishermen, and some fewer numbers are farmers. However, today a very large portion of these people have moved from fishing and farming to government jobs, workers in industry and services, as well as professionals that commute between the village and the cities. This development reflects actually the very long history of entanglement of this area with the world around it. Despite its degree of remoteness from the political centers, despite its quite bitter poverty. However, the very nature of the work of fishermen perhaps might be an important indication. Fishermen always having been connected with the market, connected with the financial economy much more than farmers, and importantly, fishing grounds. The Lake Burulus was never part of the feudal iqta system of Egypt, so fishermen were always independent owners of their fishing grounds. And fishermen therefore have a long history of rejecting the economical and institutional hegemony of the centers, and also the ability, because they would be able to change the markets and move around. And this, I think, is an important thing to think about when we think about the formation of the generation of sons of fishermen to which Mukhtar, a son of a fisherman, belongs.
فخرج الجيل الجديد من حدودها الجغرافية، وأنا واحد من هؤلاء، ليعمل ويعيش في المدن حولها. فهناك المدرس بالإسكندرية، الصحفي بالقاهرة، أو من يعمل بالسياحة في شرم الشيخ وغيرها من المدن والوظائف العامة، لكنهم أبدا لم ينقطعوا في صلتهم بقريتهم الأم أو تكويناتهم الثقافية والإنسانية التي ترجع إلى أصول القرية.
So this new generation moved from the limited geographic location of their village and their lake, and some of them now work, for example, as a teacher in Alexandria, or as a journalist in Cairo, or as a worker in the tourist resorts of Sharm el-Sheikh, and other cities, other works, other positions. However, at least this generation, those who grew up in the village life and often still worked in their youth on the lake, have never lost their rootedness in the village society, and it is very much a part of their personal and social and cultural formation.
هكذا تعيش المدن بقوتها وبتنوعها على هؤلاء من المهاجرين من القرى، بل تدين بالكثير إليهم فيما تتميز به. تدين إلى كل هذه الأجيال المهاجرة من القرى نحو المدن المركزية.
So let me add a little bit to the translation. There is often the vision that the cities have been spoiled by the movement of poor people from the countryside. But in fact, much of the dynamism of the cities, much of the energy of aspiring people in the cities really owes itself to... Sorry, now I lost the... to the energy, and in their plurality also to this constant flow of people coming from the countryside, and generation after generations of migrants from the villages are in a way a driving force of the attraction of the cities.
هذه الأجيال من القرية، خاصة الأخيرة منها، تلك التي عاشت في بدايتها في القرية المهمشة، وتكونت طموحاتها العظيمة إثر قراءتها ورغبتها الملحة في التغيير والشعور الطافح بالظلم المجتمعي هناك، هم أفضل من يجسد الفكرة والرغبة الحقيقية في تغيير حقيقي جذري في المجتمع.
And especially the youngest generation who embody a very important tension, the tension of great economical, cultural, personal ambitions, the ability and the will and the need to move and to move upwards on the social ladder. At the same time, they unite this ambition with a very strongly felt experience of poverty, oppression, and marginalization, which goes all the way to the marginalization of their very own language, because in order to be taken seriously in the city, they have to start speaking in a different way. They perhaps are the best expression of the urgent desire for deep change in society.
ما جعل هذه الأجيال هي أعظم نموذج هي وعيها التام للصراع الطبقي في مصر، وتفهمها لطبيعة اطروحات النخب والمثقفين وتنظيراتهم حول مفهوم العدالة الاجتماعية، بل إنها تناقشه وتنقده وتسخر منه لصنع عالم شديد الخصوصية بها من الفهم والوعي لطبيعة هذه الصراعات.
And this is perhaps something that characterizes people who move from poor provincial surroundings to metropolitan surroundings, is that they have to learn to master different social codes. They have to learn to master different social ideologies to be able to move in different social milieus. So they are very often highly aware of the social structures of Egypt, of the class struggle. Egypt is a very, very class-conscious society. At the same time, they are often well learned in the theories and ideas of the intellectual elites. They know these theories, they know how the history and the concept of, for example, social justice. They make use of them, they play with them, they often poke fun at it. They don't necessarily take it as it is offered, and therefore produce their very own particular kind of consciousness or interpretation of it.
For example, على سبيل المثال شخصية باسم في فيلمنا العاصمة السرية، شاعر يساري موظف حكومي ينتمي لأسرة فقيرة، اضطر في النهاية للهجرة إلى الخليج العربي. تصادف وجوده يوم 25 يناير للحصول على فيزا للهجرة إلى الخليج العربي، وبالقدر حدثت المظاهرات. ترك مشواره إلى الفيزا والتحم بالمظاهرات وشارك في مظاهرات يوم 25 يناير وتعرض للقمع وتعرض للضرب. في نهاية اليوم قرر ان هو يؤجل فكرة السفر ويعود الى القرية، ثم بدأ يتناقش مع رفاقه من اليسار في القرية حول كيفية دعم الثوار في الميادين المختلفة. انتهوا في الامر انهم اضطروا لتجميع مال، وكونهم جميعا من الفقراء لم يستطيعوا ارسال كل المجموعة كاملة من اليسار هناك، فاتفقوا على ان يرسلوا 2 فقط إلى أقرب المدن التي تظاهر، وكانت مدينة الإسكندرية. I think Samuli will explain this story better than me.
Not better, but in English. So Basim is one of the characters of the film. He plays quite a central role in the first half of the film. He's not visible in the second half for reasons which we will tell soon. He is one of the main characters of the film. He's a poet. He writes very beautiful classical Arabic poetry. He's a leftist. He's a big supporter of the Cuban Revolution. He goes with the nickname Che. He comes from a very poor family, also of fishermen, and he has medium-level education and work as a very low-level civil servant in a health administration. An income and a work which impossibly could provide him any of the needs that he would require in order to get married or to realize the material necessities. And also he wanted to see the world. And he was going to Cairo to apply for a visa to work as a migrant worker incidentally in Abu Dhabi. And that date was 25th of January. And he had heard about the invitations for protest, and he, instead of going to the embassy, wasn't going to the embassy, was actually going to the mediator, to the to the company that mediates this, he joined the demonstrations with one friend who also came from the same village, and was part of the very dramatic first outbreak of the revolution at a time when actually the number of protesters was only a few thousands. It was nothing compared to the following days. So he sort of, by a stroke of destiny, instead of becoming a migrant worker that day, he became a revolutionary. But circumstances in his family forced him to return to his village the next day. But in the village, he met with many other friends who could be described as leftist. Many of them actually stand in a tradition of the Communist Party, which used to be quite important in the 70s and 80s. None of the younger people today are communist in the proper sense, but I think the history of the Communist Party is something that plays a role in the formation of this younger generation. And they were following the events on the news, on television, and felt that they need to do something to aid the revolutionaries in the city, and they started collecting money to send people to Tahrir. They didn't get enough money. They didn't have enough money to send people to Tahrir. Nobody's salaries were paid at the moment, so there was no way to actually get any more money. So in the end, they could only get enough money to send 2 persons to Alexandria, which was much nearer. And Basim was one of them, so he was there on the first and the last day of the 18 days, and he arrived in Alexandria 1 hour before Mubarak stepped down.
I remember something. في هذه الحكاية مع باسم ومع أصدقائنا تذكرت شيء، إن هناك بعض الأهالي سرق البطاقات الشخصية لأبنائهم ليمنعوهم من الذهاب إلى القاهرة أو إلى الإسكندرية، لكنهم أصروا على ذلك وحاربوا أبائهم لدرجة أنهم طوال الفترة حتى تنحي مبارك ظلوا على خلاف مع أبائهم حول قرارهم بالسفر.
And actually, it was not easy for these young men to leave the village, not only for the matter of money, but also because their parents were extremely worried. So actually, some of the Basim's friends happened that their parents stole and hid their identity papers. And in Egypt, it's very difficult to travel anywhere without an ID card. So their parents worried that their sons might get killed, tried to hide their identity papers. Not necessarily because they were against what they were doing, but because they simply wouldn't want their sons to be the ones who get killed.
ثوار العاصمة حين عادوا جميعهم بعد التنحي تصادف في مصر حالة من الأجازات دون معرفة الأسباب. استطاعوا في خلال عودتهم أن يأتوا بالثورة معهم في عقلهم في قلوبهم وفي عقلياتهم. أرادوا فعلا وبحقيقة تغيير النظام الحاكم داخل القرية وداخل المجتمع الصغير، لكن فشلوا. وأعتقد أن قصة فيلمنا العاصمة السرية تحكي قصة هؤلاء وفشلهم وإحباطهم ولحظات الأمل بتاعتهم. على فكرة باسم بطل الفيلم في النهاية سافر الخليج واشتغل كحارس أمن على أحد المؤسسات الرأسمالية وهو الشيوعي.
Well, which is of course consequent. Many of these people who had been participating in demonstrations in the different cities came back in the village in February. It happened that the schools were closed for a long time. At the same time, many workplaces were closed. So actually lots of people had an extended holiday. So lots of people who were from the village but lived outside the village took this as an occasion to come back home. And as there was then a moment at the same time of great energy, but also the opportune moment that lots of young people from the village were actually present at the same time, which otherwise also often only happens in the summer vacation, they started to bring the revolution into their village. Their aim was to change the way local politics was run. Their aim was to create new ways of citizen participation in local politics, to spread a political consciousness. They tried hard, and they failed. This is very much the story which our film tells. It tells about these actions they took, the hopes they invested in it, but also the great frustrations they faced, realizing that the power of the underlying power of the system, of the logic of how the society works, was much sturdier, much stronger than they thought. And it was not only power of politics, it's also an economical power. Basim eventually did migrate to Abu Dhabi 4 months later, where he still works as a security guard in a major industrial plant. And I think actually that goes entirely in line with him being a communist, because after all, he certainly belongs to the working class.
لكن الحقيقة يمكن النظر إلى فشل ثوار العاصمة السرية باعتباره فشل من نوع خاص جدا. فقد غيروا قواعد اللعب في الشارع السياسي في قريتهم. لم يغيروا اللعبة، لكنهم غيروا أساليب اللعب الجديدة، فصاروا داخل القرية هم صوت المعارضة الحقيقي للحزب والفصيل الحاكم الجديد اللي بيحكم مصر، الإخوان المسلمين. بعد ما كان فيما مضى الإخوان المسلمين داخل القرية بيعتبروا أهل القرية هو صوت الحق في وجه الاستبداد أو الظلم المباركي طوال الفترة الماضية.
So the failure of the village revolutionary was, however, a partial failure, because they did not manage to win the game, but actually by forming something like a principled stance of opposition in a society where it's actually not easy to say no, in a society where it's not easy, especially in a very relational village society where everybody knows everybody, it's not easy to be principled, to be a person of principled opposition. So rather than seizing the system, they managed to change the way the game was played, and in an interesting way occupy the position of moral opposition, of being the voice of truth in face of power, which the Muslim Brotherhood previously had occupied. Until 2011, the only graffiti that could be seen in the village was by the Muslim Brotherhood, which was saying messages like Jerusalem is Islamic, or the headscarf is an Islamic obligation. Interestingly, the Muslim Brotherhood has stopped making graffitis in the village, and now the most only visible political graffiti is of the kind that can be seen here, surrounded by lots of advertisement. It says also here Yaskut Hukm al-Murshid, down with the rule of the Supreme Guide. They have become, they are actually a very small group. We are talking about tens of people, but by their very presence they have changed the logic in which the game of local politics is being played.
لعل المدن تحسم مواقفها من أي قضية بأعدادها الهائلة وبمجموعها الزائد، وهو ما يجعل معركة العاصمة السرية وثوارها معركتهم خاصة جدا وشديدة التعقيد وبالغة الصعوبة. قلة العدد، الحماس الزائد، رغم ذلك الشيء الجميل إلا أنه قد يتحول إلى نقطة الضعف فيهم وطمتهم الكبرى، وذلك لما يحملون من نقاء ثوري ومثالية وطموح زائد جعل قريتهم تتميز في إحدى الاستفتاءات. على سبيل المثال الاستفتاء الأخير وما قبله من تكوين حملة زي حملة دعم البرادعي وحملة حمدين صباحي، كل ذلك النقاء وكل ذلك الحماس مع قلة العدد كان هو سر إحباط يلازم هؤلاء الثوار، لأنهم في النهاية لا يلعبون سياسة بقدر ما هم يؤمنون بالثورة، فلا يهمهم مجالات ودهاء ومكر السياسة، بعيدين كل البعد عن المكر السياسي. لذلك حين يأتي تغييرهم يأتي في الوعي المجتمعي بعيدا عن الوعي المؤسسي، وهذه هي صعوبة معركة ثوار العاصمة السرية.
So there is actually, of course, very much shared between the revolutionary activists, those who refused the Mubarak regime and who today refuse the regime of the Muslim Brotherhood, who are those who hold the position of purity, I might say, of 100% demand for total, complete and proper change. However, the cities with their very large number of people, we must think that Egypt is a huge country, there's a lot of people. In a big city like Alexandria or Cairo, it is always possible to have enough people for different groups to do different things. The small size of the village society and also the even smaller size of the kind of people who would join a revolutionary movement in the village makes their struggle especially complicated, especially difficult. Complicated partly because there are struggles which one might evade in Cairo, which have to do with struggles with one's neighbors, relatives, friends, being insulted in the city is an annoyance. Being insulted in a village can destroy one's social existence. It was actually one of the weapons that were insults, were one of the most powerful weapons that were used against the activists. However, there is also another aspect which relates to their small number, and maybe, very much relates to the small number, which is their belief in this purity of the revolution. This belief in purity of the revolution makes their number necessarily small because they believe in difference, rejection. It's not a very accessible vision in a village society. And it means at the same time, it is at the same time their greatest weakness and their greatest strength. It is their greatest weakness because no matter what they do, they will always be bitterly disappointed. Because any pragmatic solutions will for them be nothing else than treason. They've actually been quite successful in campaigning. In the presidential election, they had a very active campaign for Hamdin Sabahi, and Hamdin Sabahi won the vote in the village as well as in the entire province with a landslide victory. In the constitutional referendum, where the new constitution, which was basically bulldozed by the Salafis and the Muslim Brotherhood, won a 66% yes vote nationwide. In the village, the vote was 50-50. That is actually a bigger no vote than in Alexandria. So it tells that they actually did make a difference. They could not make a difference and would not make a difference in institutional politics because they in fact refused to play politics, as Egyptians would say, and they subscribe to this idea that revolution is something completely different from politics. Well, you may agree or disagree with this, but this is their vision. With this position, however, they take another position, which is that of being a source of inspiration of a certain kind of social and political consciousness. So they may not influence the institutions as much as they appear as the people who make no compromises for the sake of something good.
Thanks for this love.
معلش عشان انت ركزتي قوي في
اعتقد في عملي انا وصامولي كفريق عمل في العاصمة السرية، لاحظنا واقتنعنا بأن هناك الكثير من العواصم السرية التي تخوض معركتها الحالية في الثورة. ربما معارك هذه العواصم السرية هي الميدان الحقيقي والذي قد يحدد النجاح أو الفشل للثورة. لذلك خلصنا إلى أمرين: هناك من يرى العواصم السرية باعتبارها خط الدفاع النهائي والأخير لي أو ضد، وهناك البعض الآخر يراها أنها خط الهجوم الأول مع أو ضد، وذلك ما يجعل هذه المعارك في العواصم السرية من أجل الثورة والتغيير معارك شديدة التعقيد جدا، ويزيدها ويزكي ذلك ويزيد ذلك طبيعة المجتمع الساكنة الهادئة الفقيرة.
So this is of course not only the case of the village of Minzet Murshid, and actually there are countless other villages where similar groups have formed, some smaller, some bigger, some more active, some less active, most of them sharing the same frustration. And these secret capitals in fact are the field where the decisive battle over Egypt's revolution is fought. And depending on one's point of view, one can think about it as the final line of defense or the first line of attack. Whichever way we think about it, here all the struggles that are also played in the city take place in extreme proximity between people, which give it a particular intensity and also particular difficulty in face of the calmness, of the slowness, and of the poverty of village life.
في بحثنا عن العاصمة السرية أردنا أن احنا نصل حقيقة إلى سر التسمية. للأمانة العلمية هنقول احنا وصلنا ازاي لمصطلح سيكريت كابيتال. كنا في يوم مع أحد هؤلاء الثوار بندعو الناس لحضور حفل زواجه، فانتقلنا إلى مجتمع للصيادين تابع للقرية الأم منية المرشد، وبدأنا نسأل عن صديق لينا أيضا من الثوار اسمه نبيل. فنسأل وير از نبيل؟ كل الناس تجاوبنا في المكتبة. نمشي شوية، فين نبيل لو سمحت؟ عايزين نبيل. نبيل هناك في المكتبة. نروح هناك في نبيل، نبيل في المكتبه، everyone مكتبه 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 مكتبه. لما وصلنا للمكتبه فوجئنا بمكان صغير جدا بيبيع كراسات واقلام فقط، فكانت صدمه بالنسبه لنا. المكان دوت اسمه الحقيقي والتاريخي كوم ديميس. في التاريخ الحقيقي المصري بيقول ان ديميس ملك قديم حكم مصر من قبل طوفان نوح، مملكته غرقت في طوفان نوح، فبدأنا نعمل حاجة بنعملها دايما ونهيس. فهيسنا قلنا يبقى كانت هنا المكتبة اللي بتحل محل مكتبة الإسكندرية، ويبقى كان هنا قصر الملك ديميس اللي بيحكم مصر، وكان هنا أرض الجند والتدريبات الجيش اللي بيحمي مصر. فبدت يعني معنى كده ان كانت هذه المنطقة بتاعت الصيادين في يوم من الأيام هي العاصمة. فاحنا دلوقت عملنا لها كفر كده وخبيناها، وبدأنا نغذي العواصم الرسمية بالعاصمة الأم الأصلية، ومن هنا جت التسمية بتاعت Secret Capital.
When we thought back about where the word the secret capital was first mentioned, Mukhtar remembered an occasion when he and his relatives went to invite people to a wedding. So they went to a nearby village that is sort of part of the bigger, that is sort of a hamlet of the village of Minat al-Murshid. It's known as, it's called Kumdimis. And there they were looking for Nabil. Where is Nabil? Nabil is in the library. That way. Where is Nabil? In the library, in the library. The library seemed to be quite a thing. They arrived there and it consisted of a couple of notebooks and pens. It was a very, very simple business. And at that moment, thinking about the sort of contradiction of the sort of language of library, which reminded them of the Alexandria library, this great prestige project, and then this little stand selling pens, they started with what is in Egypt called tahyiz, which is like talking nonsense, making jokes, sort of a kind of associative form of discourse where one thought brings the other, and there is no aim for any coherence or no aim for saying the truth. It's more just taking pleasure in wild line of associations, and thought that, well, actually maybe this was the Alexandria library or the something else in the age of King Demis, who ruled Egypt before the age of Noah and the great flood, and that this was actually the great library, this was the castle of King Demis, and so on. And they started playing their mind with the whole idea that this was indeed the real capital of Egypt.
لذلك قد يكون التهييس للأجيال الجديدة من أعظم سبل الرفض، وقد يأتي في شكل هزلي وغير جدي، لكنه في حقيقة الأمر بالتدقيق فيه تجده لا يتوقف عن اللعب بالأفكار واللعب بالأدمغة، لتنتهي في نهاية ذلك التهييس إلى شيء شديد الجدية وشديد العمق والفهم، زي ما حصل في إزاي وصلنا لمسمى العاصمة السرية اللي بدأ بتهييس ثم انتهى لمشروع اللي احنا شغالين عليه حاليا.
So in fact, tahyiz, this kind of associative joking and nonsense, is perhaps one of the greatest means of developing a consciousness of change and rejection. The very idea of playing with the mind, free of any responsibility for truth or anything else, provides the space actually to bring forward strange ideas, wild ideas, dangerous ideas, which, well, always therefore they are pregnant with quite some serious truth. And one of the serious truths we think was the idea that this indeed is the secret capital of Egypt.
ثوار العاصمة السرية في حقيقة الأمر ثاروا 3 مرات. المرة الأولى حين ثاروا ضد سكون قريتهم وضد جمودها، فقرروا الخروج من ذلك السكون نحو المدينة. الثورة الثانية ليهم كانت ثورة على أحلامهم البسيطة التي جاءوا بها من القرى إلى المدن الكبيرة، فأرادوا أن يثوروا عليها داخل المدن، فأحلموا أحلام عظيمة وتولدت عنها طموحات كبيرة. أما كانت الثورة الثالثة وهي أصعب ثوراتهم، كانت عودتهم إلى ثورتهم الأولى في القرية ضد سكونها، ومحاولة تغيير ذلك السكون إلى واقع فاعل شديد الارتباط بيخبر عن نفسه بصوت عالي جدا جدا، وبيعرف الناس بأهميته وحاجة المدينة الدائمة إليه.
So there were for the revolutionaries of the secret capital were revolutionaries in three senses. And I meant the word Arabic word sari, sur, doesn't translate well in English because the revolution that comes from French means a full circle. The Arabic word saura also means an act of uprising. In this case, both words are appropriate because the village revolutionaries committed a revolution in three senses. First, by turning against and away from the limited world that was available for them in their village life. Second, after they moved into the cities in search for greater dreams, in search for a way to move beyond the very limited dreams available for them, they started, as many other Egyptians with them in the cities at the same time, to think about impossible things, unreasonable things, things that others would consider to be in the realm of impossible imagination. And third, closing a circle in that sense, being revolution in the French sense of the term, by returning to the village, then by claiming with loud voice against the calmness of village life, that very change which they had developed in the course of this tour.
ومن الثورة الثالثة وبعودة هؤلاء الثوار إلى عواصمهم السرية اختفى كل هدوء العواصم السرية المعروف في مصر. العواصم السرية اختفى هدوءها اللي تعودته لفترات طويلة جدا جدا، وبدأ يعتقد هؤلاء الثوار اللي غالبيتهم من اليسار بنظرية رأسمالية، فاعتنقوا فكرة أن الربح الحقيقي في الهامش، فإن كانت القرى والعواصم السرية هي الهامش فهي الربح الحقيقي للثورة المصرية.
So therefore the calmness, or the seeming calmness perhaps because there was always much storm underneath it, of the countryside was broken. For this generation probably for good. And it also broke the idea that the countryside, by being in the margin, would be meaningless, would be something that follows the capital. And as we live in a capitalist economy, it's good to remember that in economy, the margin is the profit.
في حقيقة الأمر في الثورة المصرية وثورة العواصم السرية استطاعت العواصم الرسمية أنها تعرف خطورة وجود هذه العواصم السرية في حياتها، وإن بقاء العواصم الرسمية بهذا الزخم وبهذا الضغط مرهون بوجود هذه العواصم السرية المهمشة التي تغذيها دائما، وأن مفتاح التغيير الحقيقي للعواصم الرسمية ينبع من تغيير هذه العواصم السرية بما تضمن، بما تقدمه من عطاء، من زخم ثوري، من ثوار، إنه يحدث تغيير حقيقي وفاعل في كل ربوع المجتمع المصري.
And therefore the cities may not acknowledge it, the inhabitants of the cities may not acknowledge it, but they know, or they should know, that their presence, their continuity and their power is always dependent on the human power of the countryside. The countryside that in fact the secret capitals that actually feed and provide for the official capitals, and that are a key without which real deep-going social change is not thinkable.
كان ده كله رحلتنا مع العاصمة السرية، وكان مشروعنا مع العاصمة السرية اللي تحول من فكرة تهييس لبحث في التاريخ. كبر المشروع، انتجنا منه فيلم العاصمة السرية المهرجان، شكرا ليه ان هو استضافنا. تزامن معاه الكتاب، كان الجزء الثاني من المشروع بيضم الثوار اللي من القرية وابداعاتهم. والمشروع والجزء الثالث والاخير من مشروع العاصمة السرية رواية انتهيت من كتابتها وسلمتها للمطبعة، وهي تحت في انتظار النشر ان شاء الله في نهاية السنة ديت. وبكده اتمنى ان احنا نكون نبهنا كل العواصم الرسمية لأهمية العواصم السرية في حياتها وحياة المجتمع المصري كله. شكرا لكم، شكرا يا سامولي، شكرا للناس كلها.
So the thing that remains to say is that the film of the Secret Capital is part actually of a trilogy that Mukhtar is working on. Part of it I'm participating, part of it I'm not. And every 3 parts of this trilogy have the same name. It's called The Secret Capital. Parallel to the film, there is the book The Writers of the Secret Capital, which is an anthology of poetry, blog notes, and short prose by people from the village, most of them who actually were also active in the same group. So this is their vision. It combines, it was made with a sort of very democratic principle. Anybody who writes in that village is welcome to participate. So you get very different stuff, and I think it's a very interesting project. I had the honor to write an introduction to it. And then the third, the biggest part is the novel, The Secret Capital, which Mukhtar has, which is now written and is in the process of being copy edited, revised, and published in the near future. And thank you very much, Mukhtar, and thank you to everybody. Thank you.